Yay! It's my fantasy football show. You should watch it. Why, hello and welcome to all of my friends, my fans, and most importantly, my fellow FTFLers to the longest running weekly episodic fantasy football show out there. That's right, boys and girls. It is the FTFL Weekly Update, and I am none other than the owner of the Hulkamaniacs, two-time league champ and current consolation champ. None other than, well, a diehard Packers fan who can't wait for Jordan Love to get back on the field, a naturalist by day, a sports buff by night, and for you, once a week, the host of this amazing show. That is right, it is I, Brett Sieber. So great to be back. My, oh my. 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks. Actually, hold up. I was going to do this last week and I forgot. This is for Monty. I'm thinking of you, buddy. Get well soon. Delicious. Award-winning, one would say. Award-winning. We're only 2 weeks into the season. However, there is a significance to that 2 week mark. And we're going to talk more about, I'm going to break it down, 2-0 versus 0-2. What happens in these scenarios? Only 2 of the 14 games in. What is the significance of that? We'll talk all about that in a little bit. Some significant things, of course, happening this last week. Adam Swart, my goodness, good gracious, the reigning champ and soon-to-be back-to-back champ of the FTFL, obliterated the league record, 174.5 points for him. Old record, 166.5 by the Pack Attack back in 2022. And actually, we did get some fan mail with regards to this, really, I guess, this instance and kind of just what the league looks like. And I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and read that right off the get-go. Here we go. And I read, Dear Brett, I've been a big fan of your show for some time. Your helpful fantasy knowledge is very useful. You know what? Here's to you, my friend. Thank you. Because if I'm nothing, I'm useful. It says, your knowledge is very useful in what not to do for my fantasy team. I can't spit the beer back in the glass. It's already in my stomach. So I guess the simple will have to suffice. Because of this, I have won several champions in my league. Oh, whoopity-doo, lucky you. My question to you is, since the draft, have your thoughts on which teams are contenders and pretenders, have those thoughts changed? With the reigning champ, Tractor, the Burninator, going from lowest scoring team in week 1 to getting the highest points in history in week 2. Then on the other side of the Mixing Cocktails, who appear to draft a strong team and starting 0-2, it seems like there's total chaos, scripted chaos, one might say, within the FTFL. Thanks for your hard work. It is not signed. Says, P.S. I personally think the Burninator will lose their remaining games. All right, well, first and foremost, I always appreciate fan mail, love including it in the show. Secondly, the Burninator is going to go undefeated from here on out. We're all playing for second. That's pretty much law here in the league. As far as the chaos, Sid is 0-2. Sid usually come playoff time finds himself there. Markser is 2-0. Markser's another one of those teams who's typically in the playoffs. Now, Sid and Markser's team does not look great. But in fantasy football, it's not about how well your team plays. It's often about how lucky your team is. And if anyone knows anything about luck, it's the 4-time lucky pants, breaking and entering, title thieving champ himself, Jeff Markser of Mana. Andy at 0-2. At some point, he's going to make a big trade, change his season around. That's typically how that happens. Of course, I'm pulling for John as my ride and die. Jesus, John, would it kill you to win a goddamn game? We'd all like to see you at some point, preferably at the draft next year in Park Rapids. In the middle, it's all just kind of a crapshoot. Saltmarsh, we'll get into his little streak here in the last 4 years and what it means. I don't know. It's 2 weeks. There's not a lot to read into it. Anything still could potentially happen. However, there are some trends. We'll talk about those later. Again, thanks for the mail. Now, as you can see, injuries here in particular. Damn it, Taker. I had to get one job. Injuries piling up here for the Hulkamaniacs. 2 players already on IR. I'm sure Mark would like to tell me who I should have drafted because he knows who would have gotten hurt and who would not have gotten hurt, which, of course, is why he's always winning fantasy football games. Across the league, star players out, quarterbacks whose star players are out. It really has been a rough first couple of weeks now. I just want to promise you, even though the cupboards look like they're getting a little bit bare for Team Hulkamaniacs, we are not eating cats and dogs here yet. We are doing just fine. I feel confident in my team, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. Also on the show, we're going to have another Cringe Report, that amazing cutting-edge new segment last week. Back again this week, Peter Cringy. And with that, I think we might as well get to the games. And first up, wouldn't you know it, one Peter Cringy. I did it again. Peter Vingy, with Team Valhalla. The Valhalla Vandals coming in at 1-0, taking on the Pack Attack at 1-0. Last week, Peter lost by 4 points on a late play. Actually, sorry, Peter won by 4 points on a late play. This week, he loses by half a point, 87 for Eric, 6.5 for Peter. If you're Eric, Justin Jefferson, 20 points, got hurt, says he's going to play this week. Good news for you. Brandon Aubrey, 18. Derrick Henry, 12.5. Josh Jacobs, nice game, lots of yards, no touchdowns, 10 points. Isaiah Likely, the most likely player to be picked up in free agency last week, had a bum week. Who knows? That whole team is kind of goofy right now as I count on Lamar to carry me forward. If you're Peter, Mayfield, 20. J.K. Dobbins, 18.5. I have him in a couple of the leagues. That dude, if he stays healthy, and I know you're like, Brett, that's one of the biggest ifs possible. Right, but if he stays healthy, he could be someone who wins a league for somebody. Someone who was drafted way late in the draft to Flyer, someone that got picked up off of waivers. Mark my word, J.K. Dobbins, huge season coming, 18.5. Jordan Mason, 12.5, not quite as good as his opening act, although it looks like maybe he's going to get yet more time. David Montgomery, 12. Amon-Ra, 11.5. Christian Watson in Miami, both with 0. When Peter loses by a half a point and 2 of the starting players in your lineup score 0, that is a problem. Woo! Brandon Cooks on his bench, 1 point. Why do I mention that? Wait, I'll wait. I'll let you think about it. Why would I mention 1 point for? See, you got it, didn't you? I knew you'd get it. Had he played him instead of Watson, he would have won, and Peter would have been 2-0. Instead, he falls to 1-1. Eric moves on to 2. And, next up, the Architect coming in at 1-0, taking on the Monkeys at 1-0. The lowest scoring game of the week. These two combined didn't even touch what Adam Swart put on the board this week. 78.5 for Adam, 56 for Matt. Chris Godwin had himself a game, 19.5 points. Jalen Hurts, 18. Back to running the football, Jalen Hurts. I still don't know which player Jalen Hurts is going to be. The dominant player from 2 years ago, or the guy that seemed to be kind of somewhat figured out by the league last year. I'm sure Salty prefers the former, not the latter. Tucker, 13 points. What Salty's probably a little more concerned about, of course, I will be watching very closely. Tyjae Spears, Rashad White, I think it's maybe Rashad White. God only knows. It's a White. No, it's Zamir White. That's what it is, not Rashad. Matt's got Rashad. 6.5 points combined. His running backs in week 1 did not score a touchdown. They combined for 7.5 points. This week, his running backs across the entire roster, both weeks, no touchdowns. You remember, it was just a couple years ago, we were on Cake Watch. That was like week 13 or 14 when Saltmarsh's running backs finally scored a goddamn touchdown. I don't think that'll happen this year. However, if it does, Salty's 2-0 Mirage might just be that. Of course, also because Cooper Kupp on the IR. Good Lord, the Rams went from middle of the pack contenders to just let it burn in a matter of 2 weeks. If you're Matt, Anthony Richardson, 12 points. Kyron Williams, 10 points. Kyle Pitts, 1.5 points. The thought was Kirk Cousins is there. He's going to finally make Kyle Pitts matter. 1.5 points for him. I don't know. Is it going to happen this year? Is it actually going to happen? If we're going off of all of the previous seasons, I'm going to have to say no. In total, Matt's starters and benches, all of his players, all 17 roster spots, totaled 80.5 damn points this week. Let's just see here. That would have gotten beat by 2 people. Would have gotten beat by 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people would have beat Matt's entire stinking team. Rough week for Matt. All right, last game here. Before we get into the significance of what starting 2-0 for Saltmarsh is, what starting 2-0 for Mana, who is in the next game. Mana, 4-time Lucky Pants, title breaking and entering title thief and champ Mana coming in at 1-0, taking on my ride or die team Dickweed 0-1. And I did let it slip just a moment earlier. Markshire gets the win in this one. 77 points for him, 70 points for John. Jeff moves to 2-0. John falls to 0-2. You're making me drink, John. And I'm somewhat halfway okay with that. If you're Markser, Brees Hall, 15.5 points. Not much in the first half. Really turned it on in the second half of this game, of that game. Ramonde Stevenson, 13. The Chargers. Los Angeles Superchargers. I know. I said the right name, not the old one. You know what? Just for you, Jeff. San Diego Superchargers. All right, 11 points for them. C.J. Stroud, 10. Travis Kelce, half point. Travis Kelce last week, 3.5 points. The talk last year was Travis Kelce looks like he's not quite the same guy. And at what point is this absolute stud of a fantasy football NFL player going to finally show his age? Is it happening now? Not a great start for Travis. I got to imagine he's going to get on the board at some point in time soon. If you're John, Nico Collins, 18. Richard, the Vikings kicker who we drafted, I believe, in the 4th round of the draft, 12 points. Saquon, 10. Jaden Daniels, 6 points. Deshaun Watson, 8 points on the bench. If Jaden Daniels and Deshaun Watson are your two quarterbacks, I think you can do better. Maybe Jaden Daniels becomes a running superstar, but he's a rookie and it's going to take time. Mixon, 3.5, got rolled up in a tackle that is probably should have been somewhat sort of illegal. The league didn't do anything about it. Not sure if he's going to play this week. Again, John falls to 0-2. And what does that mean? What does being 0-2, what does being 2-0 really mean? In some ways, absolutely nothing. We have 12 games left. So much could happen. Players could get hot. Players could get hurt. That free agent waiver wire pickup that Saltmarsh used to sit there and just snipe left and damn right until we finally instituted the waiver wire. All of those things can change the course of a season. However, if I go back just over the last 7 seasons in FTFL history, 18 times has a team started 2-0. And only 3 of those occasions have those teams missed the playoffs. Get to 2-0 and you're almost a lock. On the flip side, 17 times teams have started 0-2. Only 4 of them have made the playoffs. When you think about that, it's 2 games, but in some ways you got to go, is 2 games enough? Now, this is the 4th straight season that Adam Saltmarsh has started 2-0. He hasn't won any titles over that time. Of course, he lost in the Fantasy Bowl last year, and in 21, he started 2-0 and was one of those teams, 3 teams, to miss the playoffs. I don't know if it means much of anything. Of course, I'd rather be 2-0 than 0-2. This year, the 2-0 teams, Jeff, Eric, and Salty. If I got to pick one that maybe isn't quite going to pull his weight, Jeff, that's an easy one. The teams that are 0-2, Andy, Sid, and John. Andy's been scoring points. Andy has just been unlucky. You know, this week he scores 90-some points, would have beat 6 teams in the league, ran up against the all-time high score. Not much you can do with that. However, there is something we can do with what's going on next, and really what you should be trying to do better so you don't become a part of this next segment. I give to you the Cringe Report.
Hey FTFLers, welcome to the second week of the Cringy Update 2024. Looking forward to getting into this week's Cringy Update. This Cringy Update was a piece of cake. Calvin Ridley sitting on the bench, 22 points, greatly impacting Crimerica Industries. Crimerica, come on, man. Man, it's got to be tough to be Matt, the architect, second highest points last week, down to the lowest. And currently, the season low points for this year with only 56. Running on empty, man. The least efficient lineup this week wasn't just because of one player sitting on the bench. It was because of multiple players sitting on the bench. Even by Browerville math standards, the number muncher sure can't help out with this number. 70.3%. That is a season low. With week 2 nominations done, it's pretty easy to see that Sid, Get Him a Bucket Hagman from Crimerica Industries is your first nomination, and Matt, the architect, is your second. Hey everyone, wanted to say thanks again for sending in all the nominations. All of us pretty much concurred that Sid and Matt were the easy button nominations for week 2. We'll see you guys week 3. Have a great week and best of luck to all of you, except for the person that's playing me.
I, I don't know where you're getting pictures. My goodness gracious, the picture of Sid was an all-timer. If that's going to be his picture all season, that would be great. If there are new pictures each week, that would also be a real fun surprise. Just fantastic work. I love, wish all of you luck except the team that's playing me. We'll find out who's playing you coming up soon. Thanks again, Peter, for that report. All right, on to one of the targets of the report. Make America Great Again, coming in at 0-1, taking on the Hulkamaniacs at 0-1. Someone's O had got to go. And wouldn't you know, it was Sid Hagen. 117.5 to 96. Hulkamaniacs reign supreme. Marvin Harrison Jr. week 1, big fat turd. A lot of people are like, well, maybe he's a bust. Maybe he's not going to. I'm like, well, I need him to do something because Nakua's out and other people are banged up. Jaden Reed's got a quarterback that's a backup right now. Please. Well, he did. 26 points. DK Metcalf showed up huge, 23. Dan Carlson, 19. The Pittsburgh defense, 13. Lamar with a measly 12. Pacheco, 8.5. And he's on IR. Second guy on IR. 6 to 8 weeks for this one. I mean, I've got a deep team. Thank God DK Metcalf listed as healthy. Thank goodness. I mean, Kenneth Walker, we'll see. If he's not going to play, I might have to play Austin Eckler this season. It went from amazing to great to good to, oh boy, just hold on and hope we get to the end. If you're Sid, Kaimi Fairburn, again, leading the way, 20 points for him. Malik Neighbors had a nice game, 19. Devontae, 16.5. Bijan with 10. Jared Goff, 6. Sam Laporta, 1. Just a giant Detroit meltdown at home against the Bucs. Sid's going to need those players to be better. He could have won with the right lineup in. You saw that. Ridley could have played. You could have played Brock Bowers. I'm guessing he's your rookie keeper. You'll figure it out, Sid, but for now, you fall to 0-2. And the last game of the week, also featuring 2 0-1 teams vying to get off the schneid, and it's Tractor being the 0-1 team, beating the Mixing Cocktails a smooth 174.5 to 92. Wow, that was really deep there. 92.5 points. Andy, great week. Would have beat 6 teams. Didn't beat the team in front of you. I mean, if you're Swart, Jesus, you were 2.5 points away from tripling your score last week. So as far as that fan mail earlier, I can't put a lot of stock from lowest to highest point totals one week to the other. You should have saved some of these points. Some of this stuff is fluky. Kamara is not going to score 41 points every week. James Cook is probably not going to score 28.5 points every week. Kyler's stupid face Junior Murray. He might score 28 points on occasion, not the buzzsaw performance. Buffalo 19, CeeDee Lamb 18, Rasheed Rice 16.5. Zerline 6, Ayuk 4, the only people that were in single digits. If you're Andy, A-Chain, I've been practicing all week to say that name. A-Chain had 19.5. Mahomes, when Mostert was out, Tua's down. He's going to get relied on heavily in this offense. Mahomes, 18. James Conner. James Conner just seems truly to be very Terminator-like. The guy just doesn't age. He just keeps producing. 14.5 for him. Harrison Butker, 10. Mark Andrews, 4. 1 last week. I mean, I don't know what to think. Mark Andrews, I'd like to see him play better, but everything's kind of up in the air. And Baltimore right now, Baltimore's 0-2. I mean, their schedule is not easy in the next month. Very interesting to watch and see what kind of effect that has on fantasy. And, of course, well, just if you are a Baltimore Raven in general. All right, here we go. Stud the dud in the week 3. Stud of the week, that was Kamara. 41 points. That's an easy one. Dud of the week, Miami, Watson combined for 0 points when all you needed was 1 point combined. I mean, I would even listen if you wanted to argue Saltmarsh. Saltmarsh? Was that Saltmarsh? That's Peter's team. I would be willing, if you wanted to blame Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur was a little too conservative this past week. Now, they won. And when the other team knew you were going to run and you still ran for 250 yards, yeah. Vikings fans, I hope all of you have gone out and bought Darnold jerseys. I'm hearing from you all as if you've already got the parade route planned. Short-term memory is a hell of a drug. All right, well, anyways, week 3, here it is, on tap. Mana, 4-time Lucky Pants, breaking and entering, title thief and champ. Mana coming in at 2-0, taking on yours truly, Hulkamaniacs for life. 1-1. The Pack Attack at 2-0, coming in, taking on Tractor. at 1-1. The Monkeys at 2-0, taking on Make America Great Again at 0-2. Sid needs this win in a bad way. The Valhalla Vandals coming in at 1-1, taking on the Architect at 1-1. And lastly, the Mexican Cocktails 0-2 versus Team Dickweed at 0-2. Will someone's O get up and go? Will it be John? My ride or die? God, I hope so. But until then, folks, oh, God, my arm. Till I see all your smiling faces on down the road, have yourself a wonderful football weekend, and peace!